Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture Down Under. Today we're going to be doing another omnibus review, taking a look at one of the smallest omnibus I have in my collection. It's the Hellstorm by Warren Ellis omnibus, published by Marvel Comics. So on the front, on the dust jacket there, we can see a fantastic Brian Boland cover. And if I turn it around to take a look at the spine real quick, we can see we have the Hellstorm logo, the same as on the front of the dust jacket. It mentions it's by Warren Ellis, and it also gives credit to some of the other artists and creators that assisted on the side. And then taking a quick look at the back of the dust jacket, we get all of the covers for all the issues. As we can see, it's only 14 issues, and it collects the Hellstorm Prince of Lies issues written by Warren Ellis, which were 12 to 21. And also the Druid 1 to 4 written by Warren Ellis. Both series were not big sellers at the time, and he mentions this in the letter pages throughout the omnibus, which are quite interesting to read. So unfortunately, we only get a very small amount of content in the omnibus. We can see at the bottom that the cover price is $75 US. In Australia, you'd be lucky to get this under 100. I was lucky enough to score this secondhand for a good deal. While I think the issues are good, I don't necessarily think that it warrants that price. So if I were you and I was going to pick up this omnibus, I would be keeping an eye out for any kind of deals I could find to get it as cheap as possible, because there really isn't that much content inside the book for that cover price. Though what is in there is a really good, enjoyable read if you like Warren Ellis's work or you like good 90s comics. It also has the explicit content label here, like if it were a Max series, because it's very bleak and can be quite violent at times. So let's have a look at what's underneath the dust jacket. So if we take this off, remove the dust jacket, we can see we've got on the front cover board, we've got exactly the same cover as what we've got on the front of the dust jacket. And the spine is also exactly the same as what's on the dust jacket. Our back cover features Satana, who is Hellstorm's sister. And this is one of the covers, I believe, from one of the issues Warren Ellis was going to write that never quite got off the ground. We'll see some of those later in the omnibus. So let's turn her over and let's have a look inside. So when we open it up, you can see we've got black cover pages, which makes sense. It's quite a dark character. Then we've got our upside down pentagram here. And then inside the book, we can see that we've got our writer, Warren Ellis. We've got the list of artists. We've got colorists, letterers, all the credits for all the people involved in the creation of this small omnibus. All right, and then we get into our issues. So this starts with issue 12 of the Hellstorm series. This is when Warren Ellis took over the book. And as we flip through, let's have a look at the art. The art is very reminiscent of what you would see on Vertigo titles of this time period. So it looks a lot like what you'd see in Hellblazer and other stories like that, which I love. I love my Vertigo. I love my early 90s darker comics. So this fits in well. If you like Hellblazer and things like that, you'll also enjoy what you get in here. And this run also gives us a taste of what's to come with Warren Ellis. While it's definitely not up to the standard of some of his later work, I definitely enjoyed it, and it sort of gives you a bit of a preview of what he's going to be known for later on, okay? And I really love the inclusion of these letters pages here. I was obviously too young. I was only about 2 years old, I think, when they started putting this out in singles. But it's really interesting to go back and have a look at these letter pages, and it will really show you that the comics community hasn't changed that much. it's much easier for us to make comments about what we like and what we enjoy. And we all have a much greater platform than we used to share our opinions. But the same types of complaints and criticisms that are leveled in those comments sections are what we still see online nowadays. So while things change, they stay the same just as much. So flipping through, the artwork in this is really great. I really love the scratchy sort of style that's used. It really helps create the tone and matches the tone, of what Warren Ellis's writing's like. It's moody, it's dark. All the characters are pretty awful. People, the good characters, well-developed characters, but there's not really any nice people in here, which matches the type of story this is after all. It's a story about the son of Satan. So some of the characters' designs are dark and also very 90s. Like Hellstorm has his giant pentagram tattoo on his chest. He's got his long hair. People are always smoking. There's a lot of leather jackets, pale skin. It's very 90s, very sort of gothic sort of story. It doesn't shy away from violence, pretty violent for the era. I don't know how it managed to get past the comics code in some places. They must have been getting a bit more relaxed by this time. A lot of the art is done by Leonardo Manco. I hope that I've pronounced that correctly. And he does most of the art throughout the book. The art does change every now and then though, but the tone of the art is kept consistent, even though the artist changes here and there. And I do, again, love these covers by Brian Boland. As far as the story goes, it's relatively cohesive. It suffers from the fact that the series was cancelled. I feel like given more time, Warren Ellis would have taken it places. It would have developed further. It doesn't quite feel finished because it really isn't. He had to wrap it up. He only got about 11 issues, I believe, on Hellstorm. And when you read through the letters pages, he's consistently talking about how low the sales are, and he's trying to get people to advertise, get people into the stores to buy the issues so that they can keep going. But obviously that didn't work out for them. And I mean, it'd be interesting to know what the sales numbers were on the issues, because today sales on comics are a lot lower than they were at that point in time. So I'd be interested to know whether the kind of sales that got this book cancelled are still keeping books afloat nowadays. All right, so we're getting towards the end of the Hellstorm issues here, and after the Hellstorm issues finish up, it goes into Druid, which is another series set closely to Hellstorm. The Hellstorm character appears in it a couple of times, but it follows a different main character who is a druid who returns to the modern era in New York City, and was a villain in prior Marvel stories, but is reimagined here and 90s-ized, I would suppose to say. And these issues are enjoyable, but I don't think they're as interesting as the Hellstorm issues. And we only get 4 of them. Again, it's a story that I think would have been more enjoyable with a longer run. It's just as gruesome and dingy as the Hellstorm stuff. But I would say that the Druid character is even less likable than Hellstorm himself. And Leonardo Manco stays on the art with these issues, so it has very much the same tone as Hellstorm. And as we continue through those issues, we still get the letters pages, which are really great. But then at the end, we get a bit of back matter, and we get a peek into another series that Warren Ellis had started that I don't believe was ever actually released. So this was a Satana series looking at Hellstorm's sister, and we get the first issue, we get some of the dialogue with black and white artwork, but then after that we only get the artwork without the writing, as they were never finished. And so we get some of the cover art, and then we just get these black and white panels as like almost a storyboard rather than a scripted comic, showing the second issue. And I feel, once again, this is another series that would have been really enjoyable to read, but they obviously didn't have the readership, or they were concerned about the subject matter, not wanting to release this. If anyone knows the story behind why this wasn't released, I'd be interested to know. And as we get through those issues, we get to the back matter. Art was fantastic. And we get some color pages for Satana 1, so we get to see what those earlier pages would look like if they were colored. And also for number 2, again, a lot of wasted potential. I would really enjoy to read that series. And the same cover that's featured on the front of the omnibus and the dust jacket, and that's all the back matter that's presented in this book. So overall, I would definitely suggest people pick this up if they enjoy the artwork of Warren Ellis, or if you enjoy 90s Vertigo titles like Hellblazer or Preacher or things like that. Sort of fits that kind of darker tone. However, do I think it justifies the $75 US cover price for this small book? No, I don't. I think that if you can find this cheaper, it's definitely worth picking up. I really enjoyed it. Overall, I would give it about a 7 out of 10, bearing in mind also that I'm a very generous reviewer. And it's a good gateway for people who are getting into Warren Ellis. If you enjoy this book, you're definitely going to enjoy other Warren Ellis titles that have come since then. So overall, a good read, but a little bit too pricey. All right, that just about wraps up today's overview of the Hellstorm Omnibus. If you like this video and you're interested in more omnibus reviews and some other pop culture related content, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you. Bye.